Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about critical section problem. So this particular problem can be occurred in case of cooperating process. So we discussed about what is cooperating process and what do you mean by independent process. So cooperating process, which is nothing but if there is any dependency between the process, is said to be cooperating process, which means if any process or affecting the other process or it is being affected by other process, which is nothing but cooperating process. So usually we can call the cooperating process or the process which are actually sharing any common data. So if there are two processes, let it be process A and process B. So if both the process shares any common data structure, then we can say these two processes are said to be cooperating process. So here in cooperating process, we may get this kind of problem, that is critical section problem. So before get into the critical section problem, so I'd like to tell about what is the dependency problems arised in cooperating process. So if you share the common data structure, so what are all the problems we will be getting? So we will discuss on that. So later on we will discuss about critical section. Concurrent execution and parallel execution. So if you are just working with the uniprocessor environment, so uniprocessor environment, which means only one process can be executed at a time. So CPU can execute any one of the first process, and afterwards if it wants to execute second process, it should stop executing the first process, then it will be allotted then the second process will be allotted to the CPU for execution. So this is what happens in uniprocessor environment, which means single processor environment. But if you go on work with and this is nothing but concurrent execution, so it will show the illusion of a parallel execution. So from the user perspective, so we can understand that the parallelly all the processes are executed in the system, but it is not actually happened in the system. So CPU will first execute the first program, and afterwards it will stop executing the first program, then the second process will be executed. So this is nothing but concurrent execution. But all these context switching will be done in within a fraction of second. So the user does not know whether it stops the first process, then whether it is executing the second process. So it will give the illusion of a parallel execution, but actually it is not happening. The parallel execution does not happen in uniprocessor environment, so only the concurrent execution takes place. But if you go on work with multiprocessing environment, so there we can get the concept of parallel execution, because even if you are working with a multi-core, so which means there may be many number of processor, either it might be embedded in a single core or it might be embedded in different cores. So which means so there are many number of processor, and all the processors simultaneously will execute any number of process. This is what parallel execution. So first you should understand what is the difference between concurrent execution and the parallel execution. So we will get this kind of problem again in parallel execution. So there are actually two separate process, and these two separate process will be executed parallelly. So when we can say that these two process will be executed parallelly, even if you work with the uniprocessor environment, if it shares any common data, right? So if it shares any common data, so at that time we can say so if the first process is actually updating in that particular common data, and simultaneously second process tries to update the same data, okay, same that common data, so we will not receive the final outcome as a correct outcome, which means we will be getting the unexpected, which means the inconsistent data. So we'll be getting the output as the inconsistent result. So that is what we'll be getting if it happens, if it tries to execute parallelly, which means simultaneously if the two process updating or accessing the common data, so we will not get the correct output, so we will be getting only the inconsistent final outcome. So what we have to do, so uh, we should overcome all these problems with the help of some features, right? So we'll discuss what are all the features or what are all the criterias we should follow in order to avoid the inconsistent result, okay? So first we will take one example, producer consumer problems. Already we know about, so because we discussed about this producer consumer problem. So there are actually two processes. So one process is said to be the producer and other process is said to be the consumer. So the task of the producer process is used to produce some number of data items. Okay, so it will produce some number of data items and it will keep on stored in some buffer. So here we have the temporary storage place in order to hold the data items whatever it is produced by the producer process, and there is one more another process which is said to be the consumer process, and that particular process tries to receive the data, and it will get the data from the buffer, because already whatever the data item that has been produced has been stored in the buffer, and from the buffer the consumer process tries to get all the data one by one. So not it will not get all the data at a time. So let us see, we have the specific code for producer and consumer respectively. So first one is producer process code. So here we start with the while loop. So here while of true, which means always this condition will be executed. So here, I mean, get into the condition, then we have another while structure. So while of counter equal to buffer size. So I will tell you, so what are all the variables what we are just going to use here. So here we have one process, so let it be producer. Okay, and this is actually the buffer. So here we have the process, it is nothing but producer, and here we have the process which is nothing but consumer. So it keeps on producing the data items and it will store in this temporary buffer. Okay, so buffer starts with location 0 to buffer minus 1. So if the buffer size is 10, say for example the buffer size is 10, so it starts from 0 to 9. So what happens here, suppose if the location does not start with 0, if it starts with 1, then we can say 1 to 10. Okay, so it is up to the implementation, so how we have implemented. So what could be the starting location, so either it might be a 0 or it may starts with 1. So here, if so we need to check the condition. If the buffer is full, how can we check the condition? If it reaches the buffer size, if it reaches the buffer size, then the producer cannot produce any new more items, cannot store any new more items into the buffer. In the same way, we need to check the condition from this consumer side. If the buffer is empty, so it does not hold any even a single item, then the consumer cannot produce its task, I mean cannot execute its task, cannot consume any of the items from the buffer. So these two conditions we need to check in the producer as well as in the consumer process. So first, if you take the producer process, so we have one variable called counter, and it is actually the common accessed variable by these two process, right? So we are checking the condition as whether counter is equal to buffer size. If the counter reaches to buffer size, so counter is nothing but it is used to represent the number of items that we have in the buffer, currently how many number of items, or it may what could be the number of items we have in the buffer. So if it reaches to 5, suppose if it reaches to buffer size, so what does it mean? The maximum size of the buffer. If the buffer size is 10, which means the buffer is holding the 10 number of items. So if it reaches to maximum size of the buffer, the counter automatically updates its value as a buffer size. So while we are checking the condition, if counter is, I mean while counter equal to buffer size. Okay, so till that condition is true, so it will be keep on executing that same condition, because only if the condition is true, then it will get into that particular loop. So it is a indefinite loop structure. So until it reaches this particular condition value, so this while loop will be executed. So when the counter value is equal to buffer size, then this particular uh, loop will be executed. So I mean this will be executed indefinitely. Suppose if the counter is not equal to buffer size, then it will execute the next statement, that is buffer of n equal to next produced. So here we have an array variable, so it is actually the subscript value. So what could be the in value? So in is the variable which is used to represent the current data item in the buffer. or the new data item whatever we are actually going to store in the buffer. So that particular data item will be represented by this in variable. So we are just using that in value for as the subscript for this array variable. So buffer of in equal to next produced, in equal to in. So after we have stored that whatever the data item we have produced in the buffer, and afterwards we are incrementing this in value. So we have to increment it, and also we are just including this process, that is in plus 1 mod buffer size. So suppose if we reached the buffer size, okay, so we have stored all the data items starts from 0 to 9. So what we are doing here, we have reached the 9 location in order to hold, in order to store the last item. But simultaneously consumer also receiving the data items from the buffer. So if it gets the first data item, so probably the first location will be empty, okay, it will be free to hold any of the new data item. So when it reaches this buffer size, automatically the next data to be stored in the 0th location, right? So in order to get as still it is the bounded buffer, but we are implementing the concept of circular bounded buffer. So in order to implement that circular buffer concept, we are just including this mod operation here. So n equal to n plus 1 mod buffer size. If you don't include this, when it reaches to this last location, even though if you have some empty space in the first location, but it is not allowing the producer to store the data item into this buffer, okay, if you don't include this part. So we need to include this mod buffer size so that it will find the next free location as the 0th location, then it will store the new data item into the buffer. So this is what happens here. And counter plus plus, automatically the counter value will be incremented. So whenever you are storing any new data item into the buffer, the counter value will be incremented, which represents how many number of data items we have in the buffer. This is what the code for producer process. Now we are just going to um, discuss about the code in for consumer process. So it is very much similar to the producer process with minor differences. So let us see. So here, while of true, again we have that same true condition, and we have again inner while loop. So here we are checking the condition as counter value equal to 0. So what does it mean? Counter reaches to 0, which means we don't have any items in the buffer. So consumer will not execute at all. So it has to wait in that same while loop until the counter value has been changed, right? Until, so it is actually waiting for the producer process to keep on storing the new data item into the buffer. So we have included this indefinite loop if here indefinite loop if this while condition is true. Suppose if it is not true, then it will execute the next statement, next consumed equal to buffer of out. So here we have used one more variable called out, and it is used as a subscript for this array variable buffer of out, and this out is always points to any of the data item whatever we have in the buffer, so that we can take that data item from the buffer, and we are just storing in this local variable called next consumed, and out equal to out plus 1 mod buffer size. So in the same way, whatever the next data item we have in the buffer, we need to point to that data item. So it should be pointed by this out variable. So we are just making out by using this statement out equal to out plus 1 mod buffer size. So here also we have included this because it has to implement the concept of circular buffer. And finally, counter value has been decremented. So whenever you are taking out any of the data item from the buffer, automatically counter value will be decremented. So which means that particular data item has been consumed by the consumer process. So this is what the counter value is, actually the common variable which can be accessed by these two process, consumer and the producer process. So let us see how we are getting the problem in this depending process or the cooperating process. This is one of the example for cooperating process. So here, if you are executing the two statements simultaneously, which is nothing but counter plus plus and counter minus minus. What does it mean? If you execute these two statements simultaneously, which means one after one, so counter, incrementing the value of counter and decrementing the value of counter. Okay, now in order to execute these two statements, so say for example if you want to execute counter plus plus, what we have to do, we have to implement the some machine instructions. So here we have the instruction that could be written in machine language, register 1 equal to counter. First we need to store the value of counter in register 1, and register 1 value will be incremented, and finally register 1 value will be assigned to counter. Suppose if you have the initial value of counter as 5. Okay, now you have assigned this to register 1, so register 1 value will become 5, and register 1 value will be incremented so that it will become 6, and finally you are assigning to counter value. Now the counter value is 6, and afterwards you are executing these set of three statements in order to execute this counter minus minus. Okay, register 2 equal to, so here we have used one more register, so it is a local register. So here we are just assigning counter value to register 2. So here obviously after executing all these three statements, if you are starting to execute this statement, your counter value will become 6. So 6 will be assigned to register 2, and register 2 will be incremented so that it will become 7. I mean decremented so that it will become 5, and then register 2 value will be assigned to counter, so now the counter value is 5. Yes, obviously we are just doing the incrementation operation followed by decrementation operation. So what will be the final outcome? So obviously your final outcome will be the same value whatever we have before doing these two set of operations. So initially we have 5, and if you increment it, it will become 6, and again if you decrement it, it will become 5. So the final outcome of counter is 5 only. So this is the correct result, but in some cases you may get the incorrect result, that is what inconsistent outcome. How we are getting that? So let us see. Here we have some set of statements, which means we have some uh, step by step procedure, so but we are not actually following the correct sequence. Okay, so let us see. At time t naught, producer is executes this particular statement, register 1 equal to counter. So now what if you have the initial value of counter is 5, then the register 1 value will be 5, so that is what given here. And next at time t1, producer is again executing the next statement, that is incrementing the register value. So when you increment it, it will become 6 at time t2. So which means what is the next instruction you're going to execute? It is nothing but the consumer process here, so you're not continuing with the producer process. Still we have one more statement to be executed, but before that consumer starts its execution. So it will, what is the first statement? Register 2 equal to counter. So here the counter value will be assigned. Okay, so what is the new value of counter? So because we didn't assign this register 1 to counter, so it will not hold the new value, so it will hold only the old value. What is that? 5. So that is what we are assigning to register 2. So register 2 will become 5. At time t3, again consumer is executing the next instruction, that is register 2 equal to register 2 minus 1, which means we are decrementing the register value. If you decrement it, you will get the value of register 2 as 4, because initially it is 5, so if you decrement it, it will become 4. Now at time t4, again producer is executing the next instruction, the remaining third instruction, so that we are executing at time t4. So here counter equal to register 1, which means what could be the value of register 1? That is 6, so that value will be assigned to counter, so counter equal to 6. At time t5, again the consumer is executing the remaining instruction, that is the last instruction, counter equal to register 2. So here the register 2 value will be assigned to counter. Now the register 2 value is 4, right? So this could be the final outcome. If you execute this instruction, what you are getting? So you are getting the incorrect result. So the actual counter value should be 5, but you are getting it as 4 at time t4 and t5, so you're not getting the correct result. What happens here? You are changed the order of the instruction, how it has to execute. So you have changed the order of instruction. So if you change it, what happens? You are not getting the correct result. So according to the order of the instruction given, if you execute, obviously you will get the correct result. But this may also happen in some cases, in case of accessing the common data. And so if at some situation the order of execution should not be changed at all. So before completing the first process, it has to complete the entire execution of all the instruction, and then only the consumer process will has to start its execution. But if there is any change in these orders, then we will not get the correct result, so your final outcome will be the incorrect one. So in order to avoid it, or we are just telling this particular situation without changing the order, then it will produce the correct result, and that particular situation is said to be race condition. So this is nothing but race condition. Without changing the order, if you execute all the number of instruction in order to provide the correct result, which is nothing but race condition. Okay, so this is what about cooperating process, and what are all the problem which we are facing when you are accessing the common data by any two process. Okay, thank you.